Welcome to this Masterclass Explainer. We are thrilled you're here today because we're taking you on a really high-energy conceptual tour of macroeconomics.
Exactly. We're going to decode the true measure of a nation's wealth. The exact title of our discussion today is Diff Concepts of National Income. And look, if you've ever felt completely overwhelmed by economic jargon, stick with us, because we're going to make these formulas feel like an absolute breeze.
I mean, just think about the sheer massive scale of a national economy. We're talking about factories churning out goods, shops totally buzzing with consumers, heavy logistics, and international trade literally spanning the globe.
Right. And to measure all of this motion, economists use this somewhat intimidating alphabet soup of acronyms. But our goal for this explainer is to demystify every single one of those letters so you can read an economy like an open book.
So here's our step-by-step journey for today. Number 1, GDP, the geographical fence. Number 2, NDP, accounting for where. Number 3, GNP, the citizenship shift. And finally, number 4, NNP, the purest measure of national income.
All right, let's jump right into part 1, GDP, the geographical fence. Okay, so I want you to imagine a solid, impenetrable perimeter fence built right on a country's physical borders. Because here is the golden rule of GDP. If a good or service is produced inside this physical fence, it counts. It completely ignores who makes it, whether it's a factory owned by a local citizen or a branch of a foreign corporation. If that final product is assembled inside that boundary, boom, it gets tossed right into the GDP bucket.
Exactly. Let's physicalize this formula to make it super easy. C is private consumption. That's everything you and I buy, from washing machines to groceries. Then add I, domestic private investment, businesses buying new equipment. Toss in G, government spending on things like roads and defense. And finally, add the net exports, which is X minus M, what we sell to the world minus what we buy from them. Add those blocks together and you've got your gross domestic product.
Perfect. Moving straight to part 2, NDP, accounting for where. So we have this huge GDP box, right? But it actually has a massive blind spot. It assumes everything stays shiny, brand new, and perfectly functional forever. But wait, what happens when machines break down? What happens when factory robots need replacing? That friction, that inevitable wear and tear on a nation's capital assets is a very real cost. If we just ignore a broken tractor, we're essentially artificially inflating our sense of wealth.
Right? And to fix this, we calculate the net domestic product, or NDP. We simply take that original massive GDP box and we subtract the cost of that machinery wear and tear, which economists call depreciation. Just think of net as the reality check version of gross. By subtracting depreciation, NDP gives us a much more grounded, realistic view of the wealth generated within our geographical fence.
Which brings us to part 3, GNP, the citizenship shift.
Get ready for a massive pivot here. We are stepping entirely away from the physical borders and literally tearing down that geographical fence. While GDP only cares where something is made, geography, our new metric, gross national product, cares who makes it, citizenship. So GNP tracks the total output produced by a nation's citizens and their businesses, no matter where they are physically located on the planet.
So how do we actually calculate this citizenship shift? It's wonderfully logical. We start with our geographical GDP, but then we add net income from abroad. That's R minus P, the receipts, money earned by our citizens working or investing overseas, minus the payments, money made by foreigners inside our country who are sending it back to their own homes. By adding that net foreign income, we completely transform a border-based metric into a citizen-based metric.
That sets us up perfectly for part 4, NNP, the purest measure.
Okay, we've shifted our focus to citizenship, but we still need that reality check we talked about earlier. This brings us to net national product, or NNP. Economists actually consider this the absolute truest, purest measure of national income. It strips away all the gross overestimations to leave us with an incredibly accurate reflection of a nation's actual productive, usable income.
Exactly. And just like we did earlier, we take our gross citizenship number, the GNP, and we subtract that inevitable wear and tear, the depreciation. So you take all the wealth your citizens generated globally, subtract the cost of the machinery they wore out doing it, and boom, you are left with the NNP, the purest state of national wealth.
All right, part 5, the bottom line.
When you view these formulas together, you quickly realize they aren't just random equations. They are a perfectly logical transformation. Start at the top. GDP is the sum of all activities within the geography. Drop down a level, subtract appreciation, and you get NDP, the net geography. Alternatively, take that original GDP, adjust for foreign income, and you shift over to GNP, the citizenship focus. Drop down a level from there, subtract appreciation again, and you reach NNP, the net citizenship. It is a perfectly structured matrix of wealth measurement.
Now, before we wrap up our masterclass today, we want to drop a final, thought-provoking hook on you. We've mastered the math of wealth, sure, but does a mere increase in these massive financial numbers actually reflect an improvement in the quality of life for everyday people? I mean, what about the hidden costs that just aren't on this ledger at all? And that brings us to a really vital modern concept: green GNP. You see, traditional formulas celebrate a factory producing millions of dollars of goods, but they completely ignore the pollution that factory dumps into the river or the forest it clears to do so. Green GNP was introduced specifically to balance raw financial wealth with actual environmental sustainability. Right. So to calculate it, we take that standard GNP and we subtract two major hidden costs: the net fall in the stock of our natural capital, like depleting our forests or coal reserves, plus the pollution load we've burdened the environment with. According to our source material, this ensures that true development is sustainable and equitable, not just some gross number on a ledger that literally robs future generations of their resources.
Which leaves us with this really powerful question. Will future economies continue to value pure gross wealth, or will they demand a green, equitable, and sustainable legacy?
It's something to think about. Thank you so much for joining us for this Masterclass Explainer. We really hope this journey has completely demystified these concepts for you.
Absolutely. Keep looking deeper into the real numbers shaping our world. Catch you next time.